Hello everyone, this is Mirior, back with another game of Pox Nora. Today I'm playing against drodub22, player I've not run into before. It looks like he's playing a split faction, Shattered Peaks and Underdepths. I'm playing a fairly new deck on my end, full faction Iron Fist Stronghold, Dwarves. Dwarves slash Paladins, Holy Dwarves, Beer Gods. It's like I said, it's a fairly new deck. I'm still working out how best to play it. It's very strong when it gets going. Lots of cheap champs and global buffs, or global or AoE buffs. Get them high damage, lots of good ranged. When it gets going, it sets up a very solid, anything that comes near these champs dies, and I can just slowly push forward. It doesn't do well when champs get scattered around or rushed early. Champs don't do very well in low number battles, 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s. And I'm working through ways, getting better at playing the deck and getting better at figuring out how to shore up that weakness. Drodub has almost 2/3 way through the turn, hasn't played anything yet. I'm hoping he's here. It's going to be a very short video if he's not. But, oh, there he is here. And Arroyo Riftlord, alright. So, expensive champ. He probably won't be able to play a second champ on the next turn, which is good. Vulnerable to magic. Wonder if Nora mitigates against that. But I can still put out my first champ. It's obviously going to be magic attack, Iron Fist Minister. Iron Fist Minister is an incredible champion. I always want to have one of these on the board. And that magic attack, plus high damage from an execute attack, just really makes him the best choice here. But yes, Rift Lord summons Rift Spirits, which I will have to figure out a way to deal with. They're not that hard to deal with, very low hit points, and kind of bound to the area where they're summoned. They lose hit points if they leave dead magic zones. But still can be difficult to deal with, especially since Drodub is running split faction of Underdepths, meaning they get a damage buff, putting them into actual frightening territory. I do believe the Rift Spirits also have loyalty though, so if he plays any Underdepths champions, that will put a big debuff on the Rift Spirits. This is interesting. Moga Chef. Skahern bound. I haven't seen a Moga played in a long time. It has Omnivore, so it does well against beasts. The Emerald Wing is a beast. They are the only beast I'm running though. As I mentioned before, this is a dwarf deck. All of my champs are dwarves. Everything except the Dwarven Hooligans and one Dwarven King that I run is also either a Priest, Paladin, or Shaman. I mean, they benefit from Consecrated Ground, getting some good healing and cleansing going. I'm not doing much Paladin synergies other than that. I am running Consecrated Ground, I am running a Holy Blade of Aldak. But the main thrust of the deck is dwarves. Get corrals on everything. And get lots of damage stacked up. I'm running a Northern Cross Cardinal with First Sermon. The Iron Fist Minister gives a nice global damage buff. And we'll see how it works out. Drodub has started making Rift Spirits. He's not moved into the font, but that's perfectly reasonable on his part. He can move in after me. I'm really not sure why he's running a Moga Chef though. It can heal, it has a disease breath. But without Gahern nearby, it's 5 speed, not high damage even with the Gahern. We'll see how it goes. Oh, there's an Arroyo Portal, more Rift Spirits coming out. but I'm just going to get my game plan going. So, like I said, Northern Cross Cardinal, great for Sermon, also great for 6 range, can have decent damage. I've already got a Pale Brew on him, which gives, it's an equipment that the Hooligan gives out, gives all dwarves plus 2 damage, plus 5 hit points. I want it on everything if I can. The Minister's moved into the font, Rift Lord's moved into contest. They're both 1 to 3 range, so if he moves in to hit me, I can hit him. He has encouraged, but that's more of a... It's more helpful once other champs are involved in the fight, bringing in the Rift Lord later, rather than Rift Lord on its own. I run encouraged on my Dwarven Hooligans. One of the reasons they are one of the strongest champs in this deck. Drodub's played a Stitched Seamstress. I'm really confused with what this deck is going for. Stitched Seamstress, that's the only Stitch. I'm not seeing any other Stitch energy going on. It can reconstruct, but what is it going to reconstruct? It can heal. It also has a Disease Breath. So far, Drodub's played 3 champions and a relic, none of which actually feel like a threat in any way. Nothing that I need to defend against, also nothing that I need to rush to particularly stop. I'm not sure what he's going for, but if he wants to play a slow game, I'm happy to just keep playing range champs, build up towards the kind of Phalanx style where anything that comes near, I can kill it as it slowly push forward. It's one of the fun strategic things. The range champs are weak to being rushed in melee, but if you have enough range champs out, anything that engages one champ one of your range champions will be killed by the other range champions, and that does a lot to negate that weakness. And that's sort of this deck's win condition, get to the point where there's no safe way to attack them. Alright, what is Drodub up to? Like I said, there's loyalty on the Rift Spirits. He hasn't played anything that'll break the loyalty yet. The Stitch Seamstress is coming from the Undead side, but it is Split Faction of Forsaken Wastes. I'm happy to let him come to me in the font battle, and it looks like he is obliging. Getting the first blow. It's okay, I can hit back. Decently hard. The Rift Lord has Vitality Creation. It gets hit points very high. It will take, and with one from Nora up there, it will take me some time to get through him, but is that... And he just cast Retribution on a full health champion to not kill my Iron Fist Minister. Okay. This may be a short game, and that was the most threatening thing he had on the board, and now it's gone. The Minister... Oh, there's another spell, Alacrity, to give it the action points so we can finish the kill. Okay. So Drodub spent 2 spells and a full health 86 Nora champion to kill my 69 Nora Minister. The Minister is a threat. Battle Drum is super effective, especially with ranged champs supporting it. Not that much of a threat. Alright, I don't want to leave the font uncontested, so I'm going to play second Minister. If he thinks they're that scary, obviously I want to still have one out. And if he wants to spend 2 spells to kill it again, I'm happy to make that trade. And then with the Northern Cross Cardinal, I think I am going to go into the font. Yeah, he can't reach me to attack unless he spends another spell. And I do want to keep that pressure of encouraging him to move towards my ranged champs. I still don't know what he's up to, and I'm not convinced this will be a... So far, this is looking to be a very easy matchup, not gonna lie. Okay, there's a Gahern. Taskmaster, Aid 3 Nora, 12 damage, Drive, and Declare Target. Drodub does have a Battlemaster icon. He has been playing this game for a while, but I really don't know what's going on with this deck. Alright, he's falling back. Right decision on his part. Oh, nope, he's sending in a Moga to contest. Okay. I was about to say, anything he sends in will get killed by the 3 range champs I have in the area. And apparently he's decided keeping the font contested is worth that. Okay. Well, happy to oblige. Get the sermon going. Huge global buff to all my dwarves as long as the Northern Cross Cardinal stays in that spot. When I use it, I want to make sure I'm in a spot that's going to be useful, but where he is now, he can hit anything that comes into the font, unless it comes well into the font. It's probably one of the best spots for the sermon to be coming from, for now. Alright, in the font, prepared to keep killing whatever comes in. Putting out a War Staff just to get more champs on the board. War Staffs are fantastic for 56 Nora. One of the most efficient champs I know of in this game. $56 Nora for 48 base hit points, 10 damage, and a ranged attack. Repeatable ranged attacks. He's essentially a 1-4 range champ, plus multiple damage types. Okay, we've got Drive going on. Don't know why he's driving. If he wants to keep charging champs in to get killed, I'm happy to oblige for that. I was like, he is starting to move things closer finally. The Rift Spirits go down very quickly, especially once they start leaving their range. But okay, Tome of Tainted Souls and the Seamstress gives it Soul Sift, so it gets Nora back. Gives it Deconstruct. It's still 14 damage champ with the Drive buff going. It's melee. This is not a... Wait, what is he? Does he... Oh, this is what his deck is. Oh, this is a game. Alright, I've learned a new combo today. Deconstruct from the Tome of Fated Souls, or that Seamstress means every champ it kills turns into 6 relics. The Z-Ref lets him hit a lot of things at once. The spirits are a bunch of low hit points champions that will die to 1 disease breath, so they all die while in a single AoE 2. And then he casts a Rise, which turns all Stitch remains in AoE 2 into fresh, real Stitched. It's gone from nothing frightening to still nothing terribly frightening, but he just made 6 champs out of nowhere. Now he's going to charge in. I've got this font probably for 1 turn, and it just so happens I do run the perfect champ for this situation. Royal Geomancer. Have to be careful when I use him. Need to make sure as soon as I play him, he's going to be Drodub's #1 priority. Get that thing killed. But there's a lot of font to play with. I can put him near the back here. He should be safe. Royal Geomancer has a delightful ability called Shockwave. It does damage to every enemy within 3 spaces of him, and then each of those enemies sends out its own AoE to do extra damage. And something like, if I can get 4 champions surrounding him, or if I can get him into the middle of 4 champions, that's 30 damage to all of them. And it just keeps scaling up the more champions I'm able to hit with it. Swap makes it easy to get him in position. He also has Calcify, he's decently tanky. It's a very good counter to this. Arise creates Random Stitched, and my opponent got mostly Dream Eaters. Dream Eaters are decently good champions, but probably the weakest of the 3 options. Magicians would be the scariest to deal with here because they can outrange my range. I'm very glad there's only one of those. Blackguards are the solid melee charge in. Dream Eaters are stealth champs, but the ones that come from Arise, their stealth method is Shadow Strike. They have to move in and attack before they can be stealthed, which means it's usually pretty easy to immediately unstealth them because there's not that many places they can go. Alright, he is scattering, trying to keep everything being bunched up, which is absolutely how you should respond to a Geomancer. Geomancer is somewhat of a gimmick champion. He's low damage, decently survivable, but in 1 to 3 range, but low damage. Doesn't have much going for him other than shockwaves. But swap is always good to have on support champions. And the threat of shockwaves is usually more helpful than shockwave itself. Most opponents, it's rare that I'm able to get more than 2 champions, 3 champions if I'm on a good day, which is effective and powerful. But the real benefit of the Geomancer is only 71 Norum, and he forces my opponent to play around him. He takes whatever playstyle my opponent had going and disrupts it entirely. This is a great way of buying me time to assemble a ranged phalanx if I'm in the mid-late game and it's been disrupted. And it's also great for situations like this one. He's not my only answer to this situation. The Hooligan can get some very high damage AoEs going with Keg Toss. And I do run a second Hooligan. However, I think in this situation, what I need more than a second Hooligan is an Emerald Wing. More scary range. Is a dwarf. Is also a shaman. Still benefits from Consecrate the Earth. Or from Consecration of the Cardinal. So I'm just going to go ahead and set up here. Bit of healing for the Priestess who got poked by the Magician. And preemptive cleanse for whatever my opponent has planned. I don't know what he's running in his deck, but if he does charge in and disable my champions, I want that cleanse to be in place. I played the Emerald Wing because it also has swap. 2 swap champions is basically saying this Geomancer can go wherever it needs to go. Alright, meanwhile, drodub has played a second Rift Lord. He's setting up for a second Arise. Because I'm going to get here and 2 copies of that spell. The Seamstress is there in the back. He's going to make that the hardest thing for me to get to. It's an interesting matchup. Alright, he's prioritizing the Minister here, which Makes sense. Both that's consistent with how much he spent to heal the first minister. And it's also, he doesn't want to come too close to me, and which means it's moving in close enough to hit the Geomancer is dangerous. Unless he can be confident that he kills the Geomancer, which I don't think he can. I do run the Geomancer with Calcify. He has a lot of low damage attackers, which Calcify can shut down pretty hard. Alright, he has 1 Dream Eater stealth, but I know exactly where it is because he had to move in to attack. There's global damage across the board, but I'm on healing ground. That global damage is coming from the Dream Eaters. When they stealth, they start putting out passive damage. And now I'm looking, seeing, okay, what can I... Is this the turn to send out the Geomancer? I don't want to use his ability until I'm confident I'm hitting enough champs that he's not going to be sitting there in the middle of a bunch of surviving half-health champs that promptly kill him. And I don't think I can get that here. So I'm killing the Dream Eaters in front of me instead. Want to kill it as efficiently as possible. Just make sure I'm leaving good AoE to keep. As I've alluded to before, I have this zone set up where anything that comes close to me dies. And I want to make sure I keep that in place. Okay, Dream Eater dealt with. Start working that Magician, which is the only thing that's really able to hit me without coming towards me. Keep passing out spears. Probably should have applied that before attacking, but losing time on turn should get another champion out. Yeah, not across militia. Keeping things alive is what's going to help me survive all of these champions it's created. Militia's great for that. Enduring Aura, everything within 2 spaces of him takes 2 less damage from anything that does damage. Spells, attacks, damage over time, whatever. It's great. Very much means I'm keeping everything bunched up for AoEs, but I have the Iron Fist bonus plus his own bonus. AoEs are not very efficient against me. This is probably the one deck that can't afford to keep everything in AoE too. The Disease Breath does counter that, does make this a bit dangerous, but if he's using the Disease Breath on me, he's not using it to make more stitched. And I have enough mass healing that I can deal with everything being worn down. Alright. Drodub's put out a clay form. And he is continuing to use Magician to ping things. Yep, he's grabbing that globe. That spirit will be easy to kill. That's 12 hit points, that's 1 hit from anything. And there is a Cyclops Rock Shaper. Up there, okay, he's moving his Stitch around to try to go for side bump. We're both in this interesting situation of opponent has set up a very nice thing that is difficult to deal with. I'm trying to figure out how to best deal with it. I don't know how the shockwave happens if the first pulse of the shockwave kills the champ. I don't know if it still sets off a second wave. My suspicion is that it doesn't, which is why I haven't been trying to send the Geomancer into where the Rift Spirits are hanging out. Well, right now, I'm killing that magician, building as much damage as I can on the hooligan in the meantime, and falling back. Geomancer is basically just sitting back, waiting for my opponent to create a good opportunity. I'm not terribly worried about that Dream Eater heading towards my font. It'll take some time to get there. I can deal with it next turn. I've got 3 fonts secured. I have the Nora play a champion every turn. Should have read that before I took my whole turn. That's something that can disrupt my formation pretty heavily. Checking a totem with Punishing Aura. Would be spot. I left 5 action points in the Minister, so that would be 10 damage on the spot. I'll leave him 5 hit points. I don't think he has anything else that can get in there, and I do have Enduring Aura Protection, but that can be rough. However, he will need to drive to get in range, and he's not doing that. Okay. Charging towards the font. I'm sure drodub really wishes his Dream Eaters get stealth before hitting me. If you run them as a straight champion, you can change the upgrades around so that they can stealth on their own. Shadow Strike is the most expensive option, and for them particularly, the worst option by far. There are good Shadow Strike champs. There are champs that Shadow Strike is a very good ability on. Dream Eater is not one of them. If you're running them, you want them to be stealth before your opponent. Before they engage with their opponent. Keep the passive damage going for as long as you can. And there's another disease breath going on. Taking advantage of the magician's remains that I left there. Oh, that hurts. He missed killing 2 of the champs. They died from disease instead. No remains. He only got 3 champs out of that. 2 magicians. He could have driven both of them. He miscalculated that kill. And diseased 2 of his own champions in the process. And left 5 champions in the lovely circle like right there. Yeah, I'm taking advantage of that. I'm 2 action points short. Okay, we'll need to use the second swap to figure out a good way to get into that middle circle where I can hit 5 of them. There we go. Alright, several champions dead. Another AoE. Finish another 2, get more damage out. I don't have Bane Blast revealed, it's my other AoE. That's okay. I've killed his Reconstructor, he's used both Arises. Keep healing the Minister. Give him more hit points there. Something to defend that font. Drop a Night Watch. Hopefully he'll try to run in and run into the Night Watch instead of into the right square. At the very least, I'm giving him doubt where he doesn't know where it is. Alright. I've still left way too many action points on that Minister. The totem's going to hurt. But I've also disrupted his formation very badly. Everything that's still on the board will be easy to kill. And he doesn't have an engine to create more Stitched anymore. Alright, second clay form. Night Watch is up there. I run my Night Watches with Provision Offense instead of any of these stun or knockout abilities. It's a fairly recent thing, but I'm still trying to figure out what makes them best worth on Nora. The Provision build makes them very cheap. Provision and Escape, 63 Nora. And I like the idea of having a surprise offensive threat. Okay, he threw the totem at the Militia instead of at the Minister, which means the Minister will likely survive this turn. I haven't done the math to see if throwing at the Minister would have killed it, but I think it would have, because it is an attack plus the 18 damage that the Punishing Aura will be doing. Alright. There's Calcify coming in. High damage on Rift Lord because of all the attacks that have come out. But I'll be able to kill it next turn. Yep, lots of aura damage. Okay. So I'm definitely going to use Battle Drum this turn. I haven't actually used it yet because I haven't had a time where I wanted to attack, and the thing that I wanted to attack wouldn't be that easily without the drum. But this turn I will do as much damage as I can. Militia takes out the totem. Oh, you're still alive? Okay, that's okay. 2 hit points. I don't need magic damage to finish it off. I can just get a bit of damage in through. Move the Cardinal closer. Execute on 19 damage champion. Is terrifying. 24 damage on the Hooligan with an AoE. Mopping up the board as best I can. Oh, this one is still on cooldown, but that's okay. And that's the game. Yep,